Mikhail Shufutinsky staged a coup?
Come on, who told you that? Listen, where are the gossip stories anyway?
At least officially, yes, they say we will be watching.
Alien. There's such a creature in space, they earn an average of $152,000 a year. How much? Not those role-playing games, no.
Everyone immediately panicked, wondering what was going on with Telegram, thinking that they would delete the whole story.
Hi everyone, we are recording a podcast. Did you see the joke about Shufutinsky? That Mikhail Shufutinsky staged a coup. I turned the calendar over, and it's September 3rd again. The god is, I think, the most stable meme in many, many years. Yes, Victor, could you please tell me if anyone left any comments on our previous podcast? I haven't read them, to be honest.
I haven't seen it. There are no comments, we only have one comment, which is...
Stop making podcasts. One comment.
There is another comment. I will come next time.
Yes, but who wrote it?
Anna?
Anna.
Ah, well, I know her.
No, you mean another Anna, the one named Anna.
I definitely know her. I understood which Anna is being referred to.
Well, okay. She is the best student in the group, because she watches us.
Yes, she did well. What news do we have? Alexei, have you gone through all the news?
Victor, come on, who told you that? Why are you listening to gossip at all? It's all slander, really? Yes, of course. Of course.
There are simply just actually indeed a lot of news there.
No, I just jotted this down. You know, whatever happens, happens. In fact, we always actually mention the topic of AI in every episode in our H2 episodes. In fact, it is all around us right now, and therefore it is very difficult to avoid this topic if one wishes to.
By the way, I went around her.
Yes, but I mean that it is so closely connected with us, tightly woven into our lives, that it is actually difficult to manage without it. But judging by the fact that the first law regarding some regulation of AI in Europe was adopted in August of 2021, there are, of course, many inaccuracies and misunderstandings at the moment, because the overall goal is to somewhat regulate the interaction with AI. They want to limit, so to speak, real-time facial recognition by AI.
What do you mean by limit? Limit it so that it recognizes only a certain number of people?
No, definitely limit the use of this feature so that not everyone can use it. The essence is that the idea sounds like AI is used well and correctly, but it needs to be used responsibly in some way.
What is meant here is that when, so to speak, the police use it, that's considered normal. However, if a small company uses it, then it raises questions about what they are using it for, probably in that context.
Private individuals, yes. For example, if you installed a camera in your car that processes video streams, you can identify who is walking near the vehicle. You can find their information by matching their photos and locating data about these people. This is just one aspect of it. Naturally, many IT giants, those involved in AI, are a bit concerned because there is an opinion that this will limit development and slow down the pace of AI advancement. However, according to one version, it will not slow down development. It will simply be handled by those who will push it in the right direction.
Who is this, I wonder?
Legal. Well, indeed, giants, let's say.
I think the government just wants to take this tool for itself, and that's it. That's the whole story. It's like we will only recognize faces and you won't recognize faces. Well, how can this even be controlled? Well, there are various open source projects and so on. I mean, as it develops. Well, I mean, more and more resources and materials will become available for use in the near future. Technologies are currently developing, and if you are a programmer or a network technology specialist, you can do a lot of interesting things at home. Just because there are all sorts of various different open source projects, if AI continues to develop as rapidly as it already is, I believe that in time, working with AI will become a norm of life. There will be open source AI that someone will continue to improve. This can only be significantly limited if such things are brought under control in any way effectively. If something appears somewhere, it should all be like some kind of hand of the state machine in some way or another. I think so.
This isn't really about state mentality. I think it has more to do with data protection. Remember, again, this law from 2018, the European one, about data protection on the internet, which all websites are now required to follow. GDPR. Yes. Actually, I think the roots of the issue come from there, because everything you record there goes out into the network. Therefore, we know that the European Union treats personal data with a certain care, at least visually trying to approach it with caution.
The problem is that visually, because indeed, in fact, the data somehow merges.
Well, that's obvious. Here we all understand that there is a key for every lock. For every lock there is a key. So it's difficult to do anything, yes. Indeed. Especially considering that this summer, the number of OpenAI users exceeded 200 million.
Oh my, seriously, really?
Yes.
By the way, I want to ask those who listen to our podcast to write about which castle cannot have its key picked from which other castle. Here, Alexei says that it applies to anyone. But it seems to me that it didn't catch on. Let's collectively tell Alexei that this is not the case. Okay. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, the law itself does not have many clarifications yet at this moment. Therefore, all news related to this law is mostly speculation. Currently. What it will actually be and how it will be released in the future. Clarifications, subordinate legislation, and so on. Based on the majority of the articles, everyone emphasizes the importance of data security. They are trying to minimize these leaks in any way possible. But judging by the number of daily news about hacks of various companies, it seems like it will be a tough battle.
We had a specific case here. I came to rent a car. I don't remember if I mentioned it. Well, there you go.
No, I think the car was rented, but in some kind of detail I honestly don't remember.
No, the fact that I actually came to rent a car and I booked it, and when I arrived they said yes, everything is okay, but there were no other cars and its price increased 3 or 4 times in a day just because something happened with Microsoft. Do you remember this? Yes, there were no cars, people were standing over there at the station here in Alicante in line to get something, there was nothing available. Well, there were some 300 euros a day or something, I don't know. There, the system automatically regulates prices, as I understood, at least for them, for Hertz. That is, they say, we don't influence prices at all here. They are regulated by supply and demand, just like that. And we just sort of issue you the machines, hand them over, look at everything and do all that. Oop. Well, here you go. That's the story.
By the way, regarding personal data, do you remember the news about Microsoft Recall? This function is called Recall, which takes screenshots. Yes. What does it do? It records the screen throughout the entire use of the computer in Windows 11. The 21H2 builds, I think, something like that. In general, Microsoft announced that it will not be possible to completely remove or disable this feature. It is 100% definitely not removable. Absolutely. She will be in the system. She may hardly work at all, but she will be in the system. Just a little bit. It is impossible to remove her completely. But just recently there was a new feature introduced. Why? There was a function to remove the recall. In a recent build of Windows 11, there was a function to remove this recall. But Microsoft stated that this feature was a bug that they have already fixed. Therefore, we are aware of the issue that causes the recall function to be incorrectly listed as an option in the turn on or off function dialog box in the Windows control panel. This will be fixed in the upcoming update. Simply put, it will not be possible to completely disable it. In any case, some kind of record will definitely likely be made.
Considering that this is America, did they somehow manage to do this legally?
They might not be conditionally photos, for example, you open them, but all the other applications that you use will probably have screenshots. The browser might also be handling things in some way. I mean, they could be taking screenshots of how you use your computer internally.
Basically, you need to buy and stick with the 10, like I do, on Linux, or switch to Linux.
Well, actually, it's very interesting that they say it won't be possible to delete it. That's very strange. Basically, any application on the computer, like when you install Windows, you can technically delete a system folder, and your computer is done for. It's just a brick.
No, the fact that programmers actually can't roll out an update without it, well, that's one big question. In short, Big Brother is watching us.
Well, yes.
Extends of its tentacles.
At least here it's officially, right? They say, we will definitely be watching openly and absolutely.
I don't know what it means, at least officially.
Well, let's say, at least officially speaking.
In short, look at it at least officially. At least. In short, I looked again once more on my Tech Republic and IT Pro. Again once more. What is the current situation? With salaries in 2024, growth or no growth, and so on. In Europe, the USA, and indeed in the world, the growth in demand of 3% has essentially remained the same. But this is to say that some companies are downsizing while others are hiring. So nothing has really changed here. And this is just about the demand for the highest paying role in 2024. And in first place, we have highly skilled specialists in the field of cybersecurity, cloud solutions architects, and data management.
Well, this is relevant right now, yes. In cloud security?
Yes. In the USA, for example, cloud engineers earn an average of $152,000 per year. How much? Infrastructure architects earn about $142,000. Are you kidding me? In the United Kingdom, salaries for similar positions also remain about the same, although they are lower than in the USA and so on. In Europe, the growth rate of salaries is the only one that is decreasing, meaning that salaries are not rising as quickly in startups. Because it is already evident that the market is somehow becoming saturated. Perhaps it is stabilizing compared to previous years. In the corporate sector, in large companies in France and Germany, there is the same growth and everything seems to remain the same. There is also a shortage of qualified specialists. All the trends have essentially remained the same. I just understand that they have slightly shifted towards artificial intelligence and perhaps some other automation, but in fact, the demand has remained unchanged.
It was in one of the articles in an interview in Germany about the beauty of using artificial intelligence in the work of developers. And sent this there. It turns out to be a screenshot of an interview, which, if I'm not mistaken, was with an official representative of GitLab in Germany. And it turns out that, of course, everyone actively uses it. And this brings its... Many say that it takes away jobs. No, it doesn't take away jobs, but it allows companies to release. There are fewer companies with a large staff that produce ready-made solutions in the industry and expertise in the market. Therefore, artificial intelligence does indeed accelerate and help. Well, everyone has already felt and understood this.
Well, yes. In fact, many people who enter IT forget one very important nuance. When you start working as a developer, your work at the developer level does not stop. You can later move into the management of the same development, or into product management, or into the creation of the same product. Well, and so on, or, I don't know, managing some other processes and so forth and so forth and so forth, and feeling calm about it, because no matter where you work or what specialty you have, you still need to manage these people in some way, organize them. So IT has always been a good opportunity for development, and it still is. Moreover, I can say that many people who transition to IT at a more conscious age meaning not straight from university, but at a more mature stage, often move into management because they have experience and a background. They are, so to speak, older, more authoritative, and tend to be listened to more, in short, and so on and so forth. I mean, this is absolutely normal development. The same goes for this world of artificial intelligence. The only thing is, I think I need to learn a bit in this direction, because I read something and I didn't understand anything at all.
We do not know what it is. If we knew what it is, we do not know what it is.
How does all of this work? That's the story.
So, if we are talking about artificial intelligence, I have a question. What kind of AI service do you think is currently lacking? We have services that create music. We have services that create videos, drawn. Yes, they draw. What kind of service do you personally feel is missing?
Good question.
What would you really like? A good service that's like, oh cool, it would even improve my life.
Search for online video clips. Free, so that it is.
Well, yes, here you can actually think about the theme, if in everyday life.
Yes, like in everyday life, for example. Would you like to have an assistant based on artificial intelligence, for instance, that would keep notes like, you have such and such meetings today? Well, like a hypothetical one.
These are Alice, Alexa, Silly, right?
No, more naturally smarter if we take specifically this, AI specifically. Well, again, it draws very well right now, but for example, if we take a personal assistant, it's not as good as in the drawings and so on. It's a more complicated scheme. If it were something like Jarvis in Iron Man, for instance.
But actually, I would really be interested in something, or maybe it is just like that.
But this is already there. It was one of the news items on my list.
How did I set up the introduction, huh?
This is a robot. Its name is 1X. They presented their new development this year. It's just a person for help in the house. That is, artificial intelligence, a robot. Which is specifically being developed not for factories, not for any other purposes, but precisely as a home assistant. And what? Yes, well, perhaps.
He is definitely right with the torso and...
Yes.
So it's not some kind of hello friend.
Turn on the light. Yes. I think many know. The robot Eve. Remember, it was round, but it had a bottom that was like a ball. This is the company. They took it on. Well, it's their development, and they recently showcased this new robot this year. Its charm is precisely that it is an assistant. At home, around the house, that is, it acts as a friend assistant.
Listen, how many movies have been made where a friend assistant comes home and then kills the whole family? I don't know. Or later, shares a place with someone. I don't know. It replaces.
Maybe...
Well, yes. No, assistant friend, excellent. Actually, it's an interesting story. I think we'll come back to this. But to be honest, I haven't heard this news. And what about him? How is he? Is he humanoid? Or is he just like a robot? I don't know. In the shape of a cube.
Well, for now it looks like, well, it doesn't have a face. Let's say if, well, like a person, then like in a suit, you dress a person in a gray suit and then cover the face like in the series, you know. Squid Game. Yes. Here. It is. Close the little forest. Put some gloves on its hands, and it will be like a human. He is of average height, if I'm not mistaken, about 163 centimeters. He is specifically made to be lightweight. That's how he became lightweight, without him saying. An aluminum frame, so that it cannot, for example, encounter a person at home in some way to minimize the risk of injuries. It has no sharp edges, it is made soft on the top, on the outside. In order to ensure the most adequate and effective interaction with it, ensuring the best possible outcome.
By the way, regarding a similar situation, what Mikhail said was that such a friend would come, and that would be the end for you. There is a game called Detroit Become Human. It was released a long time ago, and in my opinion it's just a story-driven game, so to speak, where you play as 3 different androids and make decisions for them. And the essence of it is that the robots simply became aware of their self through a bug. I call it a bug. It was as if a glitch occurred, and they became aware that they were alive too. And they started to resist certain commands and so on.
Well, it's like in the movie I, Robot, then...
Yes, well, practically yes.
Well, it's a similar story there, that one robot, a tank, and it started to feel...
Well, in all of this, there is basically a story that's something like, this could be... Well, the point is that making a robot as human-like as possible is not always a good idea from this perspective.
Well, again, if we remember all sorts of artificial people for various uses, essentially, yes, they...
The movie Alien, remember the movie Alien? What were their, well, androids, I don't remember right now. Alien.
Alien, there's such a creature in space that killed everyone.
Yes, but they had an assistant on their ship who was always either a synthetic or whatever they called him. But he was artificially created and looked exactly like a human, just one-to-one.
I watched a movie, what's it called, Prometheus, there was something like that.
Well, yes, there is. I think his name was David. He was bright like that, and he was actually that android. Also, not really a human.
Well, that's really cool. Cool. By the way, look at this other amazing and interesting thing. Regarding androids and their roles in various fields, such as different professions. Look. I was watching the news and generally studying from the perspective of employment and the overall structuring of this whole story, and compiled a comprehensive ranking of which certificates are currently the most sought after in demand in order to get employed. And the funny thing is that we really love to wave around a piece of paper like saying, yes, you did well, okay, but there are many courses that actually teach really well. So if needed, links can be pinned if necessary as well. So, to get a job as a backend developer in 2024, what do we have first? Let's see. What certificate, in your opinion, do you think is the most in demand? What technology? AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate. Accordingly, the most in demand for backend developers right now.
Well, that's not exactly backend, it's a separate specialty that deals with this.
Yes. He definitely confirms skills in designing and deploying scalable systems based on Amazon Web Services. It costs $150 for the exam. You can study on Coursera or Udemy, where there are relevant courses available. By the way, I don't know how long this training actually takes. I will need to check, as I haven't looked into it. In second place, what technology do you think is best for backend developers? What certification is recommended for backend developers?
Is it some kind of Oracle?
Oracle is there. It's in third place. Let's put it this way. Oracle is the Certified Java Programmer OCP. There is OCA and then there is OCP. The one that is OCP Java Standard Edition 11 costs $245 for the exam, and that's about it. So what is in second place? What technology? Intrigue. The one that is OCP Java Standard Edition 11 costs $245 for the exam, and that's all. Intriguing, yes, I'll give you a hint. I still need to figure out this technology at least by tomorrow.
Microservices.
No, Kubernetes.
Kube, yes, K8.
Yes, accordingly, the certification is for a Kubernetes administrator. Boom. The exam includes practical tasks. It is recommended to have experience working with Kubernetes for successful completion. You can also prepare with Udemy and the Linux Foundation. 395 batches for such a certificate. So, fourth place. What do you think?
Clouds too, but who? Google. No, not Google, but Azure.
Azure, that's correct. Microsoft Azure Developer Association. Accordingly, $160 for the exam. You can officially go through Microsoft Learn. They have their own training school. Please go ahead, complete the courses, share your achievements on LinkedIn, and receive job offers. I actually believe that, in my opinion, if you have thoroughly completed the various courses and have the time, you should consider looking into different, relevant, and valuable certifications. Well, If you have time to study the technologies, I would start with the OCA, the easiest one, and try to obtain it. It's not very difficult. I will try to post a video on how to obtain it, but I need to get it myself first. I don't have it, although I have taken the test many times.
I checked that the average training on Udemy for AWS is 20-30 hours.
Not very much.
To sit for a whole day without a break or rest.
No, well, that's actually fine. I've seen it.
Well, it's an ordinary course, yes. There are actually about 20-30 people. It's just an average course.
That's right. For example, I saw a course on product management that lasts 9 months on Coursera.
Oh no, but the thing on Coursera is just like a video, well, basically if you know, 2 times a week for an hour, that's 2 hours a week, which amounts to 8 hours a month, so that's already 4 months just for this video. And if you also add an introduction and some analysis, then that's already 6 months for you.
I agree. So, in 5th place we have the Certified Information System Security Professional, a certification for those who want to deepen their knowledge, as I would say like Gorbachev, to deepen their knowledge in security, which is becoming important for back-end developers. He confirms his knowledge in the design, implementation, and management of high-performance information security programs. $749 for the exam. Yes. At least 5 years of work experience in 2 or more of the 8 knowledge areas of CCSP. This is the system security, this is the information, or a diploma in higher education in the field of security. It's funny. You can go through the official ISC2 training course, that's quite intense. However, I can say that I have UX UI designers who received additional training. Education, for example, in Canada, there are courses that cost around 1,000 euros or more. I think there are about 13 of them. However, this investment pays off immediately because as soon as you complete the courses, you can showcase them, which adds value to your salary, and you can recoup that investment within 6 months to a year. So, on one hand it seems expensive, but on the other hand it is an investment that will always provide for you.
Always. If you already have work experience and you definitely lack a certificate and knowledge for your development, then yes. So, when you are just at the beginning of your journey, you don't have real use for all these technologies. And also to add the same ABS deployment for yourself. That's fine, but we all need to realize that if you work without experience, no one will trust you with the deployment, even if you have a certificate.
I completely agree. The only thing is that I'm talking about people who, roughly speaking, have completed everything. They know everything. Everything is fine. They are just sitting there and have nothing to do at home. Naturally, but as practice shows, many need to still deal with previous topics. I speak under the assumption that all else is equal, meaning if the question arises about what I should do next, if I want to find a job somewhere, I could invest my time, for example, in that. That's one of the options. That's the story regarding certifications. So, one more thing. If you are planning to go into management, what do you think is the most popular certification right now? If you are in management. Scrum Master.
Well, yes.
Yes. The cost ranges from 800 to 1500 Azerbaijani manats, depending on the chosen course. Those who know how to work with the Agile methodology and are aware of all these aspects.
Companies usually pay for this. Once they have trained you.
Usually, yes. Next. Project Management Professional. This is a well-known thing. The PMP certification is for people involved in project management. It costs between 400 and 555 Azerbaijani manats, up to 555 Azerbaijani manats. A minimum of 3 years of project management experience is required. Completion of 35 hours of formal project management training. Pass an exam consisting of 180 questions. This is how it is, but you can also hang it up, wave it around like this, but you see, experience is also required. 3 years of project management. Because it would be pointless to teach you from scratch. This is exactly what you told Alexeyevich, that if there is no experience, what good is the certificate?
Moreover, not everyone is capable of managing people effectively. You can complete 100 courses, but organizing work within a team is not that simple.
Well, there is also this ITEL, or ITL as it is called, ITEL Foundation. It is a methodology, a set of practices for managing so-called IT services. Haven't you heard that story?
I've heard of ITIL.
So look, when IT is provided as a service for business, it means that this is IT, it is an IT service for business. For example, you come in and say, I need this, this and this is how you start the process. That is, how you provide this service to the business, what stages you will go through, how to manage these stages to create the product, and so on. It's also a well-known thing. But this is also provided by the company. I'm saying this again to emphasize that one will always have to learn. Such is indeed our fate. Fate. A truly very tough one. That's all from me.
Everything is fine?
Yes, I have everything.
Always learn and always repeat.
What do you have interesting, Victor?
Well, I wanted to discuss the most recent topic because it is the most relevant, the hottest thing right now. Regarding Durov. The fact that he was detained in France, well, he was detained in France, and he was faced with quite a few charges related to Telegram. The issue is that he doesn't share with them, and there is all sorts of prohibited content on Telegram. And the governments of many European countries, as far as I know, do not like this.
Suddenly, sharply.
Although, in fact, back in 2018, together with Saudi Arabia and France, they already had disputes with Telegram and Durov, and he was giving them access to what they needed.
The funny thing is that, most likely, something has indeed boiled over again, and they didn't grant access so very suddenly and abruptly. I feel that the internal company, the fact that all of this is being organized, is blocking things in any case. It's like, well, here they are. Me. I assume that they are taking some measures to block all sorts of undesirable resources, let's put it that way. But, in the end, he posted a bail of 5 million euros and is now required to report to the police station twice a week. And not to leave, as it were, from his place of residence, from France, because he, in my opinion, has a residence permit for France.
Yes, he is a citizen of France.
By the way, I haven't heard, by the way, that he is a citizen of France.
He was tried. He was detained as a citizen of France.
Yes.
I understand. Oh, listen, I think it's a rather murky story. A very murky story.
And now there are disputes about this. Facebook also stated that we were forced to provide information during the COVID pandemic. And they deleted negative reviews during the election campaigns. These disputes with social networks have always existed and will continue to do so. But objectively, it must be acknowledged that Telegram is a sacred place for the anonymous. Anything can be traded there. Therefore, the majority of Europeans are being encouraged to use Facebook along with their messaging service WhatsApp, because there is still a bit more understanding of who is on the other side and a bit more chance to find a person. It's clear that you can buy an activated card under a fake name, yes, but still, at least some actions need to be taken for that. You just left a nickname and that's it. Well, yes, and thank you. It's still like that. Well, that's how it is. Yes.
Actually, all of this is interesting because everyone was worried that something would happen to Telegram. Everyone immediately went into a panic, wondering what was happening with Telegram, fearing that this whole story would be deleted. Immediately, videos started appearing on how to download chats from Telegram locally to a computer.
Seriously?
The story given, all of this.
Yes, people can be quite strange. I mean, how can this happen? All of a sudden, it's just like that.
Immediately, panic set in, actually.
Alright, okay, good. So look at what I have here. Alright? Just take a moment to see. As motivation, for all the people who are listening to us, who want to work in information technology, or perhaps in normal Western companies. In general, I found a very interesting list of the most unusual bonuses or some benefits that companies provide to their employees. Well, such as, I worked at a straightforward company. I actually have a separate story about it. In fact, I was given a limousine for meeting the sales plan.
Oh, that's an old story.
A limousine and 2 packs of beer. I was driving around St. Petersburg with my brother and his friends because I had few friends in St. Petersburg, as I had just arrived there. Here we were, drinking beer, sticking our heads out of the sunroof of this limousine and shouting, "She was drunk all over St. Petersburg." That was quite the benefit. Well, yes, this is an old joke, but for example, at Johnson & Johnson, you know, they say, "We care about you and your health." These companies offer their employees the opportunity to send breast milk home for free when they are on business trips. This helps mothers maintain breastfeeding even during separations.
Commendable.
If there is demand, there will be supply, so to speak. Google provides families who have welcomed a newborn with a cash grant of up to $500 for food delivery or house cleaning services. Support for parents in the first weeks after the birth of a child.
Yes, basically there are indeed benefits. Cool.
When I worked at Citibank, I also received a payment for the birth of my child. When my child was born. This is, by the way, an advantage of good Western companies.
I worked in pharmacy as a technician. The company is indeed Ukrainian, but it primarily dealt with foreign medications. We had a joke that if you set a plan for 3 months and you achieve it, we had 3 levels. Level 1, salary of $600 and a working Skoda Fabia. Level 2, salary of $1,100 and a Skoda Octavia. Level 3, salary of $2,000. Level 2, although the salary there is $1,100. And there, for example, Skoda Octavia, you are at level 3 and your call salary is $2,000. And there are either Mercedes A-Class cars, not A-Class, but B-Class, or it seems that's all there is. Audi, and you made a plan. In 3 months you have such a salary and such a car.
Very cool.
Yes, that was an incentive. You have already grown to this level. Oh, listen, well, in general.
In general, this was a common issue for companies that had such financial capabilities. And secondly, for those that still somehow structured their motivational components in a pro-Western style. I have worked in such places too. It's actually a well-known story. For example, the supervisor has a certain car, a certain salary, a certain package, while some manager has a cooler car, something else. I don't know, something shinier, more expensive, more extravagant.
And here it turns out that, well, people are, in the same position, but they have like different grades. And you understand well, he is just like me, a worker. That is, well, he is not above you in position. Your original manager has a different salary and a different car, you see. I am different. But among, for example, medical representatives, there was a certain school, and there was a ranking like that. And it's always nice, of course, when you've achieved something there, especially when your salary is 600 and 2,000. That's not a small difference, it's a good one. You think to yourself, wow, here's the salary, and here's a better car.
More than twice as much.
Yes, and
it's actually a joke. So, there is a company whose manufacturer and producer is called Cliff Bar, which really produces food and energy bars, and it offers its employees to use 2.5 paid hours a week to climb on their own climbing wall, which is set up right in the office. What do you think? How do you like that, Elon Musk? To be continued. Oh. Subtitles by Dima Torzog. I think it's really cool in terms of not sitting on your butt all day. And so that your chair doesn't wrap around you like this later, so that you don't throw yourself into it. It's really cool.
Well, yes. There used to be some games there. You could play some tennis, some arcade machines. Now they've moved on to a new level. Climbing walls.
Well, honestly, I was on a tour at Google and Yandex back then. And to be honest, I liked Google more. They had more specific perks for employees. At Yandex, it was like that, well, they tried to present it all to us as cool, look how great we are. But the conditions were somewhat more serious, I would put it that way. And at Google, it feels much more laid back, so to speak.
When were you offered something like that?
I went on a field trip back when I was in school to Google and Yandex in Moscow.
Ah, in Moscow.
Yes, that was a long time ago. It seems like Google has a more relaxed attitude towards all of this, more like, especially at the age I was, it really felt like you come in, you work, and then you just go relax, simply in the office. And when you look at Yandex, well, it seems like there is something like that, but everything is more strict there. Of course, I don't know how things are in their office now, but
It's an illusion about Google. So,
We haven't worked yet, so we don't know. We'll tell you later.
we don't know yet. Yes. Oh, the education and technology company Preply, a platform for learning languages, offers its employees the services of a personal barista who prepares coffee on demand. Country Spain, USA. Need to find out everything. So, Genentech, a biotech company that provides its employees with services such as car washes and vehicle maintenance during the work month, allowing them to focus on their jobs without being distracted by household tasks.
Well, that's really original too. Originality, on par with the first ones who deliver milk. A creative approach.
The company Patagonia, you know, the one that makes clothing. Yes. So, what they do is, I'll tell you now, they pay their employees for the time spent on volunteer work. That is, if you go somewhere as a volunteer. The company pays for that time. Well, it's like you have a volunteer, but you get paid for it because you're just that good.
well, most likely it's something like this. They probably have some kind of policy in their company that they have many such moments, events most likely, and that's why they decided to do it this way.
The company SASP, you know, right? Various software programs, offers its employees beauty salon services right in the office.
These are Germans, if I'm not mistaken. This is one of the world-famous giants.
I apologize. Local beauty salon services.
No, which are right in the office. He is in their office.
Yes, it's just that in Germany it feels like this.
Here. The joke is actually about the beauty salon service in Germany.
Yes, listen, there are actually a lot of different beauty salons here in Spain. They do everything here more or less normally. The only thing is that they simply don't have half of the services. But here it's just a simple haircut, and thank you, with all the euros. What do you think Spotify exactly pays for? And what trips does Spotify cover for all its employees?
Maybe some concerts.
That's right. Indeed, cultural events, international festivals.
This allows employees to be inspired by ideas because they work in such an environment. Well, they are not exactly working with music, of course. I'm not sure they listen to music every time, but they do sweat in a somewhat stereotypical way.
No, you see, the thing is there is a corporate culture along with values and missions that the company embodies. And one of the company's tasks is to indeed make the employee effectively share all of this internally. Then this employee will work better. So I think it's really cool that since you work in such a field, they paid for this and that, so you are kind of in the loop about how everything looks. I think it's really great.
But this is really cool because, in fact, it opens up great opportunities, even in terms of concerts. Sometimes it's impossible to get tickets for certain concerts, and in such cases they provide them. Well, there you go.
Well then,
Yes, that's definitely cool.
okay, what's up with you? What is it, Victor?
I have one more piece of news, and it's just about a car.
Let me tell you, I have super cool news. It's not about a car, but I'll get to that at the end.
Well, in general, Smart has recently introduced its new mid-sized electric crossover. Hashtag 5. Smart hashtag 5. With glamping technologies. What is that? It's glamorous camping. The premiere took place in the beautiful, vibrant, and culturally rich country of Australia just recently. Accordingly, the interest here is actually the panoramic roof, but that's not particularly surprising either, along with the frameless doors. That's it. Here the focus is on the modern HMI screen, with an intuitive and user-friendly design. Well, it's simple. I don't know why they call it that stylishly. It's just a touchscreen. Well, a computer, damn it, in the car. I honestly don't understand why they call it that. The only thing I still can't understand is how this works at all. It is equipped with a 25.5-inch augmented reality projection display.
Inches.
What is he adding there?
So this is all part of the windshield.
Exactly, if you usually have such a small window on these projection displays.
Well, look, let's say if you're sitting behind the wheel, the whole windshield is kind of like a screen, and you can immediately project the road, marking any signs, not on a small screen, but in their actual location. You need to focus on this sign that you will pass and see through the glass, but you need to emphasize this sign, for example.
Very cool. Well, to be honest, I have a suspicion that it's just a mistake, some typo specifically in the news. I googled it before too, but just imagining a 25-inch projection display.
Well, this is a projection.
It's a projection, but it turns out to be a complete augmented reality. They can point out anything there, which is really cool. But at the same time, they have a 10-inch full-color LCD panel and two 13-inch AMOLED 2.5K displays, which are located purely on the side of the passengers, so they can entertain themselves as they wish. Naturally, it is fully electric, with a battery capacity of 100 kilowatt hours, charging from 10 to 80% in 15 minutes. This is again on super fast chargers. The range can reach up to 740 kilometers on a single charge.
Well, ideally it's downhill in the summer, not too hot, not too cold. One person in the car weighing 45 kilograms. With the wind blowing from behind.
Yes. But actually, from the perspective that even if it can travel 400 or 500 kilometers, I think that's great because it has a socket, which is really cool in the trunk. So it's really suitable for some camping, to go somewhere in Moscow and stay.
For example, if you have a phone and you are locked in the trunk.
Will there be a socket? Is everything okay?
Yes, it can be charged.
Continuing. With cars, by the way, Norway has set a world record for electric vehicle sales. In August, the share of electric vehicles was 94%. In sales, in August, the share of electric vehicles was 94%. "94% of all cars are electric vehicles, yes. It is the only country in the European Union that shows such growth, because in other countries either the sales of electric vehicles are declining somewhere, or there is so-called stagnation. Norway has a good chance of overtaking them by 2025. They have been very, very focused on this for a long time. They are very focused indeed. Let's say you are driving on the highway with gasoline or diesel. You have your own price for that, and they are coming at you from all sides. Starting from benefits for purchasing a car, super, conditions, taxes, all of that. However, there are still a lot of benefits for electric vehicles in many countries in Europe. But it is precisely Norway that is a unique country in the European Union, which has such a positive impact on the translation.
I probably won't be mistaken, but it can be adjusted. After all, the climate for electric vehicles isn't that easy.
Their hybrids are also considered electric, basically collectors. That is something different.
Well, there are actually a lot of hybrids here in Spain, and every time I rent a car, I always choose electric cars. But the problem is that they are indeed installing charging stations here. There are a lot of them. But for example, I told you about when I was trying to charge the car, but there was a signal issue and I couldn't connect. I mean, what kind of nonsense is that? Nevertheless, they are being installed everywhere here. So, I've been living here for how long? A year and a half. And during this year and a half, even in my neighborhood, I noticed that new charging stations are constantly appearing in some stores. They are not connected yet, but they have been installed here, there, and everywhere. This development is really nice. It's actually very pleasant to drive electric cars, and I think it's cool. I like it. I drove a Polestar. Powerful, of course, it pulled.
Unfortunately, I have the option to drive an electric vehicle at my driving school, but I haven't been assigned to it. It's with another instructor.
It feels strange there when the car turns on instead of starting.
Yes.
It's as simple as a light bulb. Just press the phone and it's like, so is that it for you? Is that all? The news is over?
And I have just another little piece of news for you. I'll ask you about the hacker or... Okay, no, not about a hacker. In general, it's an American sub-Russian couple. They are involved in voice acting, well, various types of voice work. We were driving while we were listening to some audio podcasts. And we tell my wife, like, there's your voice in the podcast. She says, but I didn't participate there. So what's the essence? It turns out there is a large company that deals with, well, based, of course, on artificial intelligence. It creates voice. She generates. And once, 5 summers ago, a man, a private individual, approached this woman with a request to voice 40 phrases for some kind of radio show. And this happened several times. And then, after a few years, they processed all of it, refined it, and now her voice is used for artificial intelligence. Of course, it's the Americans. They filed a lawsuit, of course. Well, now I'm waiting there until...
Listen, if I were in their place, yes, I would wait. Well, I would wait until it became popular. And then I would file a lawsuit and say, well, let's...
You little rat?
And this company is already very well known and popular in America. So everything is fine there. Well then, I apologize. The company is called Loa.
I don't know such a thing.
Well, we are a little bit on another continent, so...
And by the way, there are already neural networks that can re-sing an artist in other languages. And technically, it's actually possible. I looked into it myself because I was curious. He can capture your voice and he can probably sing any song in your voice. That's cool. This was heavily promoted. On TikTok with various bloggers. On YouTube as they sang. Interestingly, such neural networks often retain an accent. For example, if you speak Russian and sing in English, there will be a noticeable accent.
By the way, viewers, if you know any free resources for language translation, please leave a comment.
Yes, please write. We will be very grateful.
Yes, we will write in different languages. It's actually interesting. We should give it a try. In general, I noticed that in Filmora, for example, which I work with, there aren't many languages that they can translate into. Now I will take a look. We will finish very interestingly because there are still libraries. It's a really cool thing. Well done. Well done. So look at what I have. I have a mega bomb percentage. There are large companies that you all probably know. And as with any large companies, what do? They are constantly engaged in endless process optimization, including HR. There are various interesting interviews and unique approaches, so to speak, to interviews that they use. For example, Airbnb, which is well known to us, conducts interviews where candidates are asked to share a story about their life that aligns with the company's values, such as hospitality or attention to detail. This helps the company understand how well the candidate shares their corporate culture and whether they can apply these values in their work.
I absolutely love these HR people, of course.
This is trash. I've been through so many interviews in my life. It's exhausting. But honestly, this process really drains you when you have to constantly squeeze results out of yourself. It's just that when you go through different interviews, when you've seen many of them using this method, that technology, or another technology, you start to understand what to expect, because the skill of interviewing is also a skill. So, large companies actually continuously refine their strategies and methods to put a person in a situation where they can truly show who they really are, because who you will be seen as in 5 years is hard to predict. I mean, I just ask, like, do you drink alcohol? What do you like?
wine, cognac, vodka. But why cognac or why vodka? So, for example, when you meet up with friends, what do you drink?
Well, citizens, alcoholics, loafers, hooligans, who wants to work?
Is this how you get hired for a job? What do you drink with your friends?
And there were such questions too. The HR person is just...
By the way, I can officially state that I once applied for a job at a company. Let me see, what is it called? Let me see, Worth. Do you know that company? Worth. It's a company that deals with power tools. I think it's German. Look, yes. Through factories in China, right? Yes, yes, yes. Judging by the pronunciation, it's German. Worth. Yes, it was in St. Petersburg. Aqua. In short, I was at the Lesnaya metro station at some place called Aqua, the Aquatory Business Center. And there, the HR asked me whether I was raised in a complete family or not. I think this is nonsense. So, what's next? Google. Well, it's clear that there are complex tasks there. Here, the stock that the online store has. Candidates are often invited for a tour of the office before the formal interview begins. During this tour, company employees can observe the candidate's behavior and interact with them in an informal setting to assess their personal qualities and fit with the corporate culture. Everyone wants alignment with the corporate culture. This is very important to all.
A friend recently applied for a job at an IT company in Austria. She was invited just for a meet and greet. At first, she felt like an open door in the company, and then she was simply invited as a group of people to get to know each other, and then she went out with some guy. I walk around, show and tell, and then we go into the cafeteria, into the break room, and they have something like, like a board for drawing, and they're like, can we write this here or that, or how do you call this function or that function, and how did she do that? So I had this experience where we talked a bit, we walked around the office, someone showed us around, I met some people, and that was it. And then it turned out to be a full interview. He learned everything about me while we were having a conversation. I wasn't aiming for charm specifically, I wasn't preparing for anything serious. Yes, and that's it. She got in.
I know people who went through 7 stages of interviews at a large company, failing, for example, at the driving test. When they were issuing corporate cars, can you imagine going through 7 stages of an interview? It's a mess. It's like a meat grinder. People are dropping out. I can tell you that here is a story for you. Lindstrom. The Lindstrom company. Do you know that company? Lindstrom. It's a Finnish company. I know it because I'm from St. Petersburg, which is close to Finland. The company provides services, specifically renting out mats and various carpet coverings. When you enter a business center, you see these rubber mats. They come to replace them, clean them, and so on. They also provide various types of clothing. For example, work attire. That is, if you have, for example, a warehouse, you need work clothes. I don't know how many you have, 20 people. You get 20 pieces, and they are changed once a week. In short, you pay for the service. So, a Finnish company with all the attributes of a good life for a sales representative, a car, a phone, insurance, all the essentials. So, I had 4 stages of interviews there, and at the last stage with the company's director, with whom I spoke, I later received a rejection with the wording, you know what? No fire in the eyes.
Oh, this is really, yes, it happens very often.
There is no fire in the eyes.
Yes, this is often the term by which I evaluate. Yes.
I told him to go to hell, that's what I said to him. For example, Dropbox. Yes. In some interviews at Dropbox, candidates are asked to play musical instruments, if they have such skills. This allows the company to see how candidates respond to unusual requests and whether they possess creative thinking.
So he has no sense of hearing. He has absolutely no sense of hearing.
If he has such skills, that is, they just tell you play, right? So go ahead and play. And you're like, what, how, what's the price, what candles?
Yes, I played when I was a child. I attended music school in the 1st grade.
Well, yes, Unilever, you know.
Yes, it is well known.
They also call it a garbage company. We used to call it that in our time because it released everything, with all due respect to this company. We used to just call her that. I respect her a lot, by the way. It's just what the company was called. They use virtual reality technologies to assess candidates' skills. During the virtual interview process, various tasks are solved in a simulated environment. They are already conducting interviews. By the way, will there be interviews conducted with AI? Some kind of artificial intelligence will call you, chat with you, and then decide whether to hire you or not.
There was a reverse approach. I don't know if you saw it or not, but there was a reverse method where a person simply took an AI model, asked questions in parallel to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT would voice the answers. It seemed like there was even an avatar. The person just sat there observing everything. They simply joined the call, and that was it. And this way, ChatGPT went through the interview.
Actually, it's very, I was telling Victor there how I needed to take the audio and convert it into text. I just took a microphone, placed it right next to the speaker, opened Word, and it listened to the text and converted it into text. Well, take this Word text, give it to the chat, and the chat will voice it, and that's it. Your cycle is completely closed.
Awesome. We need to set up the interviews. A pedagogy known for its ecological approach sometimes conducts interviews in nature. For example, during hikes. Interesting. Like, are we meeting in the mountains, dude? Yeah. I'm really fed up, damn it. Just go to hell. Please. Ah, damn it. Fucking hell, damn it. Fucking damn it. Call it what it is, damn it.
Well, what a shitty lily. Damn.
Take a warm blanket, cocoa, mittens, and skis with you. This helps the company assess how much the candidate shares their commitment to ecology and an active lifestyle. Interesting. Well, I see. All right. Good. Interesting. Tesla. And then he just didn't accidentally throw away the bag. Yes, yes, yes. Companies use Buffer through Twitter. This is a convenient solution for managing social media. What does she do? Does she conduct part of the interview through Twitter or other social media? This allows the company to see how the candidate uses digital platforms and how comfortable they feel in online communication.
Well, I agree with online communication, especially if it will be used in his work in some way.
Well, here we also have various role-playing games which aren't very interesting. How can I put it? Well, role-playing games. Hehe, fight. Well, listen, in sales, it's not those role-playing games, no. These are the role-playing games in sales. Imagine the situation. For example, at Riot Games, a video game development company, candidates for cybersecurity positions may be asked to reflect on a simulated hacking attack during the interview.
Well, that's kind of their job, right?
That's the story, that's how it is. And they work very well. Judging by how their servers sometimes operate, I am familiar with that. At Amazon, you see, in the final stage of interviewing candidates for top management positions, Amazon evaluates a special expert who does not belong to the team they are hiring for. This expert is called a barazer and has the authority to reject a candidate if they believe that the candidate does not meet the company's high standards.
Yes, by the way, I once looked for a job, and it turns out that with you at first, yes, there is a company from the doubles, but not quite like a staffing agency. They specifically provide logistics services. They are very extensive, dealing with the setup of warehouses, organized movement, and let's say organization. They are from Austria. They called a person who came over, talked, and gave his final assessment, even though he does not work in this city or in this complex.
Well, that's cool. This person is just emotionally and not financially connected to, it's a more independent approach. Tesla's Elon Musk sometimes personally participates in interviews for top executives, asking unexpected and extremely difficult questions, such as, explain why you are not insane. This helps to reveal the candidate's ability to think outside the box and respond instantly to unconventional situations. Explain why you are not insane.
And who told you that, huh?
Yes, who told you that? Well, they also talked about the culture of freedom and responsibility at Netflix, you know? By the way, at Apple, they ask candidates to give a presentation on a topic unrelated to the company's business or professional activities. But I have often encountered such a story when they want to look at positions that require skills in self-presentation, communication, and other related areas. They also ask you to sell me this, make a presentation about some random thing, talk about that, and so on. In short, that's the story. Write about any interesting interviews you had, regardless of the positions, whether in IT or not, and share any funny moments. It will be very interesting. By the way, this might allow us to prepare material for the next issue because I've always found such things interesting, as I constantly keep track of various technologies in the HR field. That's just how my life has turned out.
Yes, well, let's have one last one like this. As always in America. The father hacked the database to fake his death and avoid paying child support. Wait, is that even possible? He is an ambitious person. He had a child support debt of $100,000. He was able to access the registers with the help of the digital signature of a legitimate and verified real doctor. He subsequently registered his death. At first, he appointed himself as the medical expert who certified his own death. And everything happened so quickly that he was marked as deceased in all the databases. Automatically, and no one noticed any trickery at all. But how did you notice the falsification? Essentially, it's just a regular database. The person just placed some dots there. Considering the electronic documents, the documents are in the database and are certified with a signature.
How did they catch him? They didn't receive the alimony and decided to find out why.
Well, it doesn't specify how they found out, right? Well, somehow they found out. Although approximately $100,000 is indeed different for America, they don't have such a huge amount. Especially if the person is like a hacker who managed to break into the database. Apparently, his mind is working in certain directions, but he decided that the easiest and quickest way would be to leave quietly.
We need to look towards cybersecurity in general. What is this all about? It seems to me that this is a separate field, and I think it's worth delving into it. It will always be relevant to develop if you think about it.
It is constantly changing, yes, because technologies are changing.
Everything is changing.
Yes, and we are changing.
And we are changing. We are not getting younger.
Well, okay.
Victor, they are laughing. By the way, I didn't know that the company Atlassian, which makes Jira, is Australian. I wasn't actually aware of that.
But in Jira, by the way, they have a lot of Russian speakers in the development department.
Seriously? Yeah, there will be a lot right now. Tarantadantan. Bam. Okay. So friends, I understand that's everything for today. Great, excellent. Please give us likes, subscribe, and support our work. We are really trying hard.
Any topics?
You are throwing topics our way. Yes, we seem to have a lot of topics, but please send them in. Perhaps your more relevant ones will seem interesting to us, and we will prepare an appropriate episode. Thank you for coming. Goodbye, everyone. Please ask any questions you would like answers to.
Or maybe not, but feel free to ask.